This is John. John is a rose grower and a member of the cooperative. His cooperative has grown and changed over the years, which is why its organisational structure is sometimes difficult to understand. Let's go back to the beginning. How and why was the cooperative first set up? John harvests large quantities of roses every year. There is no good sales structure in place, so John sells his own products. This is not ideal, because it takes him a lot of time, and he does not get a good price. John feels that this can surely be done differently. What if I join forces with other growers and we sell our products together? By doing so, we will not only create a joint sales structure, we will also join forces financially and strengthen our sales position. Other growers embrace John's idea, and the cooperative is born. As such, the cooperative consists of the associated growers and their joint company. It has the following tasks: the daily management of the association and the company, control over important decisions, and internal supervision. All tasks are discussed jointly by the members of the General Members Meeting. But it is impractical to control the company via such a large group. The members therefore chose a small group of members to take on the daily management and another small group of members to supervise them as a supervisory council. Over time, the daily management of the business became a full-time job requiring a lot of knowledge and skills. The elected board of members retained statutory responsibility but appointed a full-time management board consisting of non-growers. The Supervisory Council was expanded to include external board members who were not growers, and subsequently it became the Supervisory Board. In order to increase member involvement, advisory councils and FPCs were introduced a few years later. If we zoom out, we see that the structure of the cooperative rests on 5 key pillars. The association, consisting of members who can exert influence and control over the company by way of the General Members Meeting. The company, which is led by the cooperative board, the cooperative board, which is monitored by the supervisory board, and the advisory councils and FPCs, which inform the association and advise the management board. In the next phase, the board of members united with the supervisory board, and it was decided to leave the statutory responsibility of the management to the management board. And that's the structure of Rose Grower John's co-op.
Sound corporate governance practices are needed and their importance to Islamic financial institutions. So, the reason because a sound corporate governance norms and procedures guarantee that licensed institutions are managed securely and soundly with risk-taking activities and business prudence correctly balanced to maximize shareholder returns and safeguard all stakeholders' interests. Strong corporate governance become vital defense against all types of mismanagement and fraudulent activity in a liberalized and more competitive market where management is always pressured to provide desired bottom line result. Effective corporate governance procedure that improve company responsibility are critical components of market discipline and transparency in action. Besides that, they can set vision and mission statement and strategic target for the company and can achieve the strategic target set by ensuring application of best practices. For example, internal control system, regulatory compliance, accounting and auditing, risk management, information disclosure, Sharia compliance and social responsibility business. As we know, we have 14 principles of corporate governance, minimum standard and specific requirement for Islamic banks and takaful operator that example, the board has an fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interest of its licensed institution and to protect it from inappropriate action or influences from dominant or controlling shareholder. The board of a licensed institution must have an appropriate number of directors that is commensurate with the complexity, the size, the scope, operation of the licensed institution. The board should comprise of directors who as a group provide a mix of core competencies such as finance, accounting, legal, business, management, information technology and investment management.
So let us proceed to the governance in Islamic financial institutions. So, what is accounting and auditing organization for Islamic financial institutions? It was established in 1991 and based in Bahrain. This is the logo of LAW2533. This is an independent, non-profit organization that prepares accounting, auditing, governance, ethics, and Sharia compliance standards for Islamic financial institutions and the industry. So, the vision is to guide Islamic financial market operation and financial reporting on Sharia principles and rules, to provide Islamic financial markets with a standard that can support growth of the industry. So for the mission, the standardized and harmonization of international Islamic finance practices and financial reporting in accordance to Sharia. So are the example of the countries where AAOIF standards are either mandatory or recommended include Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Sudan, Jordan. It's prior to implementation of AAOIF standards, many financial institutions in these countries were operating under a semi-regulated market where accounting policies were determined with the assistance of the Bank Syariah Supervisory Board. So, how about Malaysia? Is it Malaysia follow and adopt AAOIF standards? Malaysia not fully adopt AAOIF standards, especially for accounting and auditing, and also for Islamic financial institutions and takaful operators. Let us proceed to the objective. To develop accounting, auditing, governance, and ethical thought relating to the activities of Islamic financial institutions. Achieve conformity in concept and application among the Sharia supervisory boards of Islamic financial institutions to avoid contradiction and inconsistency between fatwa and the applications by institutions. To approach the concerned regulatory bodies in order to implement the standards that are published by AAOIF. To carry out other activities including certification of compliance of AAOIF standards. So in conclusion, these standards were created with the support of banking authorities. Hope that the development of AAOIF standards will go a long way in promoting convergence in Sharia standards and leading to further growth in this nascent market. That's all about AAOIF standards to Islamic financial institutions and also takaful operators.
I want to tell you about the background of IFSB. IFSB is situated in Kuala Lumpur, was established on November 3, 2002 and began operations on March 10, 2003. It was a worldwide standard setting group composed of regulatory and supervisory bodies with a stake in the soundness and stability of the Islamic financial service industry, which is generally defined to cover banking, capital markets, and insurance. The IFSB also encouraged the growth of prudent and transparent Islamic financial services business by establishing new or adjusting current international standards that are consistent with Sharia principles and recommending their acceptance. The International Association of Insurance Supervisors work complements that of the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, the International Organization of Securities Commissions, and the International Organization of Securities Commissions. 81 regulatory and supervisory bodies, 10 international intergovernmental organizations, and 96 market players, financial institutions, professional companies, industry organizations, and stock exchange, operating in 57 jurisdictions and among the 187 members of the IFSB as of June 2001. Malaysia, the IFSB host country, approved the Islamic Financial Services Board Act 2002, which grants the IFSB the same immunities and privileges as other international organizations and diplomatic mission. Okay, now I want to tell about function of IFSB. There are many functions of IFSB. Is to support the development of a wise and transparent Islamic services industry by establishing new or adapting current international standards that are Sharia compliant and recommending their acceptance. Second, to provide guidance on effective supervision and regulation of institutions that offer Islamic financial products, as well as to develop criteria for identifying, measuring, managing, and disclosing risks for Islamic financial services industry. Taking into account international standards for valuation, income and expense calculation, and disclosure. Third, it is necessary to communicate with and collaborate with key organizations that are currently establishing criteria for the stability and soundness of international monetary and financial systems, as well as those of member nations. The next step is to improve and coordinate efforts to build instruments and procedures for more efficient operations and risk management, to urge member countries to work together to strengthen the Islamic financial services industry. Furthermore, to make training and people development in areas connected to the effective regulation of the Islamic financial services industry and related markets more accessible. However, to conduct research into the Islamic financial services business and to publish papers and surveys on it. Last but not least, a database of Islamic banks, financial institutions, and industry specialists should be established. Finally, any further goals that the IFSB General Assembly may agree to form time to time.